Okay, so today I'm going to talk a little bit about how to use the library's online resources for genealogy. And the first thing we're going to talk about is actually to not use the online resources. The first thing you're going to want to do is make the most basic family tree you can from your own memory. And that might look something like this. So you have you, your brothers, your sisters, mom, dad, any siblings they have, and your grandparents. Just go as far back as you personally know. And then from there, use your family. Ask your siblings, ask your parents, ask your grandparents, any aunts or uncles, your cousins maybe. Ask them what they know and see how far back you can go or what information you can find. It can also be very helpful to look around your childhood home, your parents' home, grandparents, if they will let you. Always ask permission, of course. And see if you can find any old family books or documents, maybe a family Bible or some old draft cards from the First or Second World Wars. These things are a great starting point to jump into Ancestry, Heritage Quest, and our other online resources with. If you jump in just with yourself as the starting point, you may get a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of results that come back. So it's better to be able to narrow down a little bit and filter what you know. So you might start with something like this, and then maybe after talking to people, your family tree grows into something like this, where it's a little bit more complicated. So you still have you, your siblings, and your grandparents, but you also have your great-grandparents. And that just grows every generation. There's more people in this family tree. Once your family tree starts looking a little something like this, I think it's probably a good idea to hop on the library's resources of Ancestry in Library Edition, Heritage Quest, Digital NC, and the Historic North Carolina Digital Newspapers Collection. And from there, you can use those resources to grow your family tree into something like this. This is a 6th-generation family tree that traces you back all the way from you to everybody who is possibly related to you through your parents and their parents and their parents. This can be a really good resource if you're just trying to flesh out the basics. You don't necessarily have to fill out every single person on this tree, just fill out as much as you can. And some of it may not be able to. For instance, if you look at this example tree, it looks like some of these people were born in the 1750s in different states. So I see Virginia, South Carolina, Massachusetts, Delaware. And that far back, there may not be any more records. The last available federal census we have, the earliest one I should say, is from the 1790s through the National Archives. And we do have access to that through both Ancestry and Heritage Quest. So that is the first federally available record of everyone living in the United States. So once you're trying to get to something more like this family tree, then it can be a good idea and go to the library website. Go over to resources, and it will take you to this list, which can look a little bit intimidating, but honestly, once you get the hang of it, is not so bad. I've been over each of these resources individually in some shorter videos, but this is just a more all-together video that has everything in one nice and easy spot. So there's 4 you're going to look at mainly for today. The first one being Ancestry in Library Edition, which can only be used in the library on our physical grounds or on one of our computers or on our physical grounds on our Wi-Fi on your personal computer. Next up, we have Digital NC, and that is a great resource for newspapers, especially very specific North Carolina newspapers, like one of the oldest ones in Edenton is the Fisherman and Farmer. Next up we have Heritage Quest, which is through Ancestry, so it has a lot of the same documents, but I think a slightly better international census and records collection. And finally, we have the digital newspaper collection from newspapers.com. And that is also super useful. So for right now, I'm just going to go over really quick all these 4 different resources. So this is Ancestry, and this is probably where you're going to want to do a lot of your work. You can search generally through all sorts of things. So you've got birth, marriage, death, census, voter list, immigration and travel, military, school directories and church histories, taxes, lands, wills, reference dictionaries, almanacs, stories and publications, and pictures and maps. You can also go ahead and search by state, by different continents, different countries, all sorts of things. So I'm going to go back to the US, and let's say we're going to do the let's do actually UK Census Collection. And I'm going to go ahead and put my last name in, which is Tinch. And I don't know if there are any Tinches in the UK, but let's go ahead. So it looks like there are some. So there was Mary Tinch in 1849 in Ireland, and we can go ahead and view this record. So you can see these can be pretty hard to read. They are old handwritten documents, often in cursive that I would say might be bordering on calligraphy. But if you click this little icon over here, a little person outlined with 3 lines, it'll show you what you are looking for. So I'm looking for Mary Tinch. She was 12. She was a boarder in Ireland. And let's see. She was in North Leeds. So we're going to zoom. Woo. It's very sensitive zoom as well. So I'm going to look through ages. And she was a female. So we're going to go ages and see